having that GED, the education, it opens doors. Even if they're not knocking at the moment, credibility and history along with your education opens doors. I warn people, young kids, even my son's age or take classes, keep your education. These things don't go away even if you're building, you're working and goes away. That's things you can't take. I've always been taught once you got educated in a field or a knowledge or something of that nature, it can never be taken from you. You can assist and give to someone. Doesn't matter how much times you fail trying to make it as minimum as possible, but going forward is it's well worth it.
And now that you have gotten your GED, at this point you are now available and to go and take that exam. You pass the exam, you start your company, and I remember you coming back to visit me, and you were like, and I'm asking how's the business going, and you were like, well, it's just me and I have my son helping me out, but it's just us. And then you came back to visit me again, you were like, oh yeah, I got crew, I got trucks, and I'm like, what, already? I mean, you just took off running, and now you're talking about a satellite office over on the West Coast. So this GED seriously opened up a major opportunity for you to be very prosperous. This point I want to make, you are now able to create a legacy. This is not just for you. You keep talking about your son. This is something that will be his one day. This is something that will carry him. Even if you are not around, you laid up a nest egg for your son, and your son has watched you on this journey. And I am absolutely 1000% certain that your son is extremely proud of you, because he saw you grinding. No grit, no glory. Hello everyone, this is Kydd of Smart Kid Concepts, and I am here with another amazing episode of GED Breaking Barriers. I am here with Elias, who is going to share his GED journey and what got him there and what he has been able to do since he got his credential. I am so glad that you could join me today. I'm excited and I'm happy that you will be able to share your journey. So as usual, I love to start off with, finding out, why didn't you finish high school?
Well, thank you so much for having me. One of the reasons why I didn't finish high school was moving around. We had a lot of family moving from one area to another area, and then with my son, I had a baby.
Okay.
Having a baby pretty much gave me the reason why I needed to do more, and given more, I needed to make sure I got my GED, so there was no problems in the future.
So when you left high school, how old were you?
I would say about 17. I kind of ran away from school. I'm from the Virgin Islands. I wanted to do more, and I figure in able to do more, I would have to go to a bigger city to try to do more, and that's where I kind of started paying attention to what you need to do to move to the next stage and make things the way you want it.
Okay.
Especially for the family, you really can't do much without stepping up to the plate and try to make things work, because around the time of COVID and everything, I wanted to do a lot of big things, but there was a lot of requirements, a lot of educational requirements, and mostly making sure my family see that I was doing something well worth standing behind. So you had a son at 17, and that was what kind of took you out of the high school setting? And what grade were you in at this point? The dates are a little bit different, but I stopped going in the 11th grade. And I would say I used to go to Miami-Dade College for my 11th grade, and as things get bad with families and timing, as young kids we wanted to do things on our own. So for the most part, if you're listen to your parents.
Oh wow, say that again.
Help. It will save you so much in the long run. But after realizing as a youngster what you think is not always the way it's gonna go, because paperwork, the proper process, making sure you're being positive, all that stuff plays a key role in you starting, finishing, and even moving forward, that I see.
So at what point did you realize I need to go back and get this GED? What was that moment? What was that? Did something happen?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. At that moment, I took several courses in the GED on my own without actually going to the campus. And during the time I took the courses, but I was still juggling the new baby coming, and I worked on call as an emergency technician for a company. And being that you're always on call, it limits your time for studies or class. And then with the baby, I had to make sure my son and my son's mom was very much taken care of during the process. So when those things got into play, I needed to step up. I needed to go sign in. I met some awesome people. They gave me some good guidance. There was a lot going on because my venture was possibly ride a bike to the train station in the morning, take that train to West Palm Beach to clock in at 8 o'clock, go in the field, wherever we had to go to do our type of work, and be back at the office at a specific time to be back on the south side to then attend school. So there was quite a bit going on. It didn't feel like there was enough time in the day between working an 8 to 9 hour shift, the babe, the newborn, making sure the family is safe, and then still trying to catch the 8 o'clock class with my teachers. And sometimes when you start realizing you're burning so much wicker from your candle that you can't really grasp, I had to make a decision, like slow down on the work, just cut back on everything else and try to do more focusing. And when we did that, after a period of while, I started feeling more happier, not because I was getting further into it, but because things were connecting, and networking was in motion. The lack of sleep, the lack of taking care of your family, everything plays a part when you have too much, and that's also another good thing, because when you have good people to help guide you, they can take and release some of that pressure from you. Now, I didn't have a network of people to work with me. It was just me and my son living in Pompano. But after a period of time of doing the positive things and helping people, it didn't matter what we were doing out there. We just know we wanted to do more, and we wanted to be a part of the circle that was positive. People like that group, because they came from nowhere and everybody, their job is complete. Questions, it just moved, and it made us feel a certain way.
So you mentioned that it was really just you and your son, so you had no support system in place to so if that was the case,
there was no buffer to assist during the time. So my son, if I really was to tell you, my son has been learning how to be an adult from his 9th grade age, because as a on-call technician, we don't live at home. Every 30 minutes you have to watch the clock, because you're not sure if the phone is going to ring. And the company I was with, they were rather large company. So with that being said, if one office didn't respond, the office that I worked in would respond, and I would always have to be on call. So it took away a lot of time to focus on my education, and then oversleeping at night. And so we had to kind of see what fit for us, and then try it out. And even trying it out, you're not going to get it right away. You have to stick with it, and as you get it to work for you, believe it or not, after a short period of time of walking that same way of positive, it finds its way to work for you. And as you see that and you start feeling good about it, you actually want to do more.
Yeah, so you have this really hectic schedule. You're on call, so you have no idea when you have to just pretty much get up and go. So, and I want you to kind of dig into, because I know the the GED RLA, that reading language test, gave you a serious run for your money. It took you 11 times.
Yes.
How do you not quit after the third time, the fourth, the sixth, the ninth, the 10th time? How do you not quit after that many times of taking the same test and not passing?
Well, understanding why we took so much tests and we failed was because we weren't 100% in it like you're supposed to. If you're going up to take these classes that's supposed to further educate you, the focus is on that. But because as a single parent, and I had lost my son's mom to cancer during the time of, I was both mom and dad, so at that point I had to see what worked for us and move along with it until it gets better, and then watch that start taking off from there. It was kind of strenuous because you get up at 6 in the morning, you jump on the bike. We have vehicles, but traffic and vehicles, you're gonna go on a train with a bike anyway. So we would ride from one area to the train station, and like I said, drive to Palm Beach, clock in, jump in a company vehicle, and we're somewhere in Wellington, Green Acres, anywhere in the Palm Beach area based on where the jobs are, and reverse that throughout the day. And I did that for about a year just so I could keep my head focused. And at that point in the 2017, we started feeling the comfortability of, we cut back the hours here, but we're focusing here. And then I was introduced from you guys, Leonard, the guy on the computer that helps you in the GED Academy. Really, it works. I've actually recommended that to a lot of people I heard that wanted to do things that require paperwork. And I told them, go to ATC, tell them what you want to do, because at the end of the day, what we want, it's not going to be given to you. You have to get up, you have to go through the errors, you have to go through the knocks and the punches to actually talk about it, because nothing is free out there.
Right. So after 11, because the last one was the language arts that you needed to pass. The science you passed the first time. Social studies you passed the first time. Math, it took you a few, right? But that RLA was really that one. So after that 11 test and you saw your score was a passing score, what went through your mind?
That course was over. That was the second to last course. The math course was the last course I had. From 2012 till about 2016-ish was the peak of our company. And when I say that, the peak, they raised 11 buildings throughout Florida in a short period of time, 6-7 months. And getting all that unification and the radius of the miles of working, and because I was educated in mold mitigation and water dryout service, it didn't matter what building along the coast, if they needed help, they would send our team to help them. So the timing to study was very, very minimum. I wasn't allowed, especially with my team, because they know what we were trying to establish as far as the business license, I weren't allowed to learn PSA dash, anything computerized. I wasn't allowed to learn, only because my focus was on getting my GED, my credentials, and getting that in line, because all of that can be mimicked by those that are working with us. We just make sure we need someone to keep moving. And with that being said, I got left out of a lot of things, but very fortunate that I did, because now, even as we speak, some of these guys that put the balls to roll, we work together.
You're talking about like the business and all of that. So what I wanted to definitely give you an opportunity to share is that, you know, because you did not have your high school diploma, there was a certification that you needed, but you weren't allowed to take the test until you got your GED. So now that you have gotten your GED, you went You passed the test. What have you done since you passed that test? Tell us about what you did as a result. Tell us about your entrepreneurship. What is your company that you started as a result?
I started 2019, right before COVID really took off. I started E&E Restoration Services. We're a water, mold, and fire mitigation company. We work with the insurance and we work with non-insurance as well. We travel throughout Florida to assist anyone that has water-related or mold-related problems. And as far as we are in our 6th year this year from when we started in 2019. We have a couple vehicles. We have we're actually doing interviews. There's a lot of things happening behind the scenes, and like we are now in hurricane season, we're actually getting ready to open a satellite office on the West Coast in Fort Myers, because it seems like Fort Myers seems to be one of the heaviest areas that's always taking impact.
So, and I have to, mention this. And I have to ask this. This is really interesting, you all, because I was never his teacher. However, he found me for some reason. So I need you to share, why did you come looking for me? What happened? How did that even come about?
I couldn't, during my courses, something like triggered in my head because the math portion, I was going through an issue. I was told there's multiple lessons. Your entity was?
I taught the social studies, the RLA, and even the digital literacy. So I had those focuses, and even professional development. So, because I want to know, like, how he told you. I'm trying to figure out, how did you end up? Because I remember it almost like it was yesterday. I remember you looking, and you were like, I'm looking for this lady, Miss Kydd. And I'm like, well, I'm Miss Kydd. Why are you looking for me? So how did that come out? How did you even hear about a Miss Kydd, and why were you looking for me?
Well, going back to when I said, when we used to leave work in Palm Beach to come down, I caught the train, which classes already started. I think class started like 8 o'clock or something like that. And it's already a long day with work, timing on the train, and then when I would get to class, and not knocking the teachers or anything, but the body's already ran its course throughout the day, and then going to class in the evening for some reason. The teachers did a phenomenal job. It's just I couldn't keep up with what was going on. There was too much just going on, and that goes back to say, having a positive and buffer family or someone that can assist during the time off, because 2012 is really when I took my first test. I just wanted to see if I could just see what happened. I did that with social study and the science, and I passed those for some strange reason. And I figured, okay, I'll take this and see, oh, I missed it by 1 point, or I missed it by 2 points. I was like, if I'm that close, there's no reason for me to just put it down. And then of course, a little bit of things where it wasn't the right time, and oh, it's the last test of the month, go ahead and sign me up. I'm gonna keep doing it because at some point it has to stop. And I've never known for just like getting into something and just turn a blind eye on it, because you can't walk through that motion and feel that unless you actually go through it. And I tell people the hardest things out there are the hardest things, but you only make it harder by not trying. And so we just kind of go from there.
And at what point did you hear my name?
I saw you standing outside the door, and you was not one of my teachers, but your course wasn't even on my docket to do.
No, you were not even one of my.
Because I finished your section in my course. I had just did it, and for some reason, it was the energy, I would think.
Okay.
Because I've heard, just walking through the hallways, you aggressively hear the kids talking nice about their teachers, or this teacher would do this, or whatever the case may be. And I myself tried to get in your class, but I had already passed
the social studies.
Yeah,
right.
For some reason I passed it. I was like, I gotta find a way to get into yours, because one, teaching is cool, but if you mix teaching with feelings and your honor, people will see beyond what it is you're trying to project. And just having something to hold on to, knowing most of these people in here don't know I have a big company I'm about to start. I just need to finish my task. And I told you that one time, you asked me, I said, why are you doing this? I said, well, one, because I lost my son's mom back in the days for cancer, and I have to be the one to step up for him. So me going to get my education was one of the key points, that if I got my stuff, he has to get his stuff. Because if I walk away, it would give him a reason to walk away from school, and that would only hurt more down the line. So me, myself, I had to keep going regardless of how much time I had, or if I woke up in a vehicle on the side, at least I was sleeping or I was working or something of that nature. And to be honest with you, when my son knew I went to do the speech at the school.
Oh yeah, I invited you to come out and speak yes.
We spoke, and I still have the papers at this time. My son was reading the list, and he said, Dad, there's one thing that's missing here. I said, what's that? And he's like, you're the only person I know like to read everything. You want everything. I said, well, having multiple ways to look at things, it doesn't mean you have to do it like everybody else. You just gotta have the natural concepts and make sure you're legally in the right to do things.
So you got, it took you those 11 attempts, and you nailed it. You got it, okay? You feel good about yourself, and now that you have gotten your GED, at this point, you are now available and to go and take that exam. You pass the exam, you start your company, and I remember you coming back to visit me, and you were like, and I'm asking, how's the business going? And you were like, well, it's just me, and I have my son helping me out, but it's just us. And then you came back to visit me again. You were like, oh yeah, I got crew, I got trucks. And I'm like, what already? I mean, you just took off running, and now you're talking about a satellite office over on the West Coast. So this GED seriously opened up a major opportunity for you to be very prosperous. And I love this point I want to make. You are now able to create a legacy. This is not just for you. You keep talking about your son. This is something that will be his one day. This is something that will carry him. Even if you are not around, you laid up a nest egg for your son, and your son has watched you on this journey. And I am absolutely 1000% certain that your son is extremely proud of you, because he saw you grinding, no grit, no glory.
Staying up at night on the computer, following Leonard and doing everything and making sure we stick with it. One thing we talk about in my house a lot, without consistency, there's no key. If you're consistent with something, it eventually has to come by. Right. Every door we walk through it for a reason. There's positive and negatives, but for the most part, going through a door always leads to something that you may, your future. You can help a neighbor, just having the qualification, the skills, the education, that stuff. It really works.
What advice would you give to an individual who is out there, who is, they kind of like, should I go back to school? Maybe this gonna be hard. Maybe I'm scared, I'm nervous. There are a lot of people who are afraid to fail the test. So you can truly attest to that. What advice would you give to those who are afraid of failing the test? How can they get over that and just go for it anyway?
As I sit here and I think about the amount of times I took the test, there was not one feeling, not one bad feeling in my mind that gave me the reason why I should quit. I may have missed it at 1 or 2 points, whatever the points may be. Having that GED, the education, it opens doors. Even if they're not knocking at the moment, credibility and history, along with your education, opens doors. I warn people, young kids, even my son's age or younger or older, take classes, keep your education. These things don't go away, even if your building you're working in goes away. That's things you can't take. I've always been taught, once you got educated in a field or a knowledge or something of that nature, it can never be taken from you. You can assist and give to someone, what do they call them, the pupils? They then pick up, because I do have a couple of those. There's actually a bunch of them in different companies learning some things that we do, because again, as things are where they are, there's going to be a lot of ups and downs. Our industry, it usually picks up during hurricane season or during insurance season when it's time to renew or something of that nature, or an emergency service, washer and dryer leaks or mold of something of that nature. They all forward right back to the insurance company. So staying abreast to everything, you're going to need your education. Even if you're not in the industry of the emergency service, doors open up for you. They do. And I wouldn't knock it for nothing.
And if you had to think of a quote that would really embody your journey to your GED, is there a quote that comes to mind, that you would use or say that reminds you of your journey?
Yes, Michael Jordan. I've taken over 300 shots, and although I missed the shot, he would not be where he were had he not put the shots into play. It doesn't matter how much times you fail trying to make it as many as possible, but going forward is it's well worth it. It is a struggle, it is a hard. I've opened a business, I'm one person in my company. I work with a great group of guys. One of them is satellite, one of them is local, and as a 3-man company, we're still motivatedly doing big things. I gotta tell you about the communities I signed up this week. But consistency is key. There's always gonna be the friends that's gonna wanna take away because you wanna move forward. Sometimes you gotta understand you need a buffer. I had no buffers when I was doing my GEDs, when I was being on call. I got shipped from Homestead to Orlando, different tasks, riding around with a GED book trying to study while in a different state. There was a lot. I would attribute 1 to about 8 of those 11 as to time management around work, and again, I lost my son's mom to cancer. Different things played a part, but just knowing furthermore how things were happening, and you can't see the future, but you can at least know predictions are predictions. I had to make a step. I needed to make a jump, and when my son saw that, it was more like, I'm going for it.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, for anyone who is hesitant and not sure or just downright afraid, and there are some people and there are scenarios, and I've seen many scenarios, they're actually in GED classes, they're actually in courses or enrolled somewhere, but they don't take the test. They're so scared to fail the test that they keep saying, I'm not ready. So they're not scheduling the test, they're not taking the test because they said, I need more time. And then here 6 months passed and they never took the test. A year passed, they still haven't taken it. That's like, well, how much preparation do you need? At some point you have to just take a leap of faith, and you have to do it. And if you don't pass it, you just go back and you take it again. Nothing's gonna happen. No one's gonna blow you up. You're not gonna die. You may feel like you want to die, but you're not gonna die. But at the end of the day, the thing that you need as a result of getting your GED is gonna exist. So why stop? If you need a better job, you're still gonna need a better job. If you quit, you still need a better job. So you might as well just follow through and just do it anyway.
Yeah.
That's the advice. Just do it anyway, despite the fear, because you can't pass the test if you don't take the test. And if you don't pass the test, you go back and you take the test again. If it takes 11 times, if it takes 20 times, at the end of the day, you will pass and you will reap the benefits.
Consistency is key.
Consistency is key. Well, Elias, I am so extremely happy that you were able to join me and just share your journey with everyone out there, because it's so important that we reach one, teach one, and that we show the progress that can be
Yes.
made. And you will never lose when you invest in yourself. You'll never lose when you invest in yourself. It's only going to help you. It's going to help you and grow you, and you're going to have that wisdom. If nothing else, you're going to have that confidence that you finished what you started. And I thank you so much, and I'm so extremely proud of your company growing. And I'm certain that eventually you're going to come back and see me again later on and tell me now you in another state. And you're in another state. And you're just taking over the whole East Coast. So thank you. And I hope you guys truly enjoyed this episode of GED Breaking Barriers here with Elias Nicholas, and I am excited to hopefully see you soon. I'm Chandra Kydd of Smart Kid Concepts. If you need us, we are here to support you, to help you on your educational journey. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.